geniusbiofeedback.com. So if there's any type of a technical issue, it wouldn't really be a good idea for something that we would talk about today, but you can absolutely send it to me, support@geniusbiofeedback.com, where we deal with it on an individual basis. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our amazing and passionate and wonderful and enthusiastic community. We do have some events coming up, so let's talk about them here. If you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, you can go to our events page. Hopefully it's on our events page. Let's see what we've got going on here. Okay, tomorrow at 4 o'clock Pacific and 6 o'clock Central, we have our terahertz training. So we have terahertz core boxes, we have terahertz wands. We want to talk about, really, we want to get into, now why is this not clickable, huh? Let's go ahead and copy this. So anybody can join. This is specifically for people who have just gotten their wand or their box, but anybody can join. I really want to get into sort of my perspective about terahertz technology. So I'll make sure you can send your questions to everyone if you'd like to. So you can just go ahead and drop down and put everyone so everybody can see your question and we can talk about it. Yeah, let's see if did this copy the link? See if just try that again. Yeah. Oh, that's the calendar listing. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, so we have our terahertz training tomorrow at 4 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Central. And then business members, if you're part of our business membership, we have a great library for you all about succeeding in business with some special numbers we're going to be distributing today. And then we meet on Wednesday. On Thursday, we have our podcast. So our Frequency of 528 podcast, you can join the Zoom, register and join the podcast. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we're going to have our podcast on Thursday at 6:30 in the evening. That is where we talk about all of the latest news that we can't talk about on YouTube, all the things about the thing that went into the arm, all of that news, and then a lot of health news. We've covered things like superfoods, reishi mushroom, how to alkalize your body. On January 19th, we're going to be joined by Sherry Edwards. On January 26th, we're going to be joined by Greg Prescott. And on the 17th of January, we are going to have a separate, we're going to have a separate sort of special mini or a special podcast episode with Nadine Artemis. So we're going to have a very special, Nadine has written an incredible book about holistic dentistry, and we'll give you special links to that. So yeah, to register for the podcast, the link is right here. So this is the link to register. The podcast is a live Zoom, and then we distribute it through Rumble. So podcast registration and everything is on our events calendar. So Heidi, our website is geniusbiofeedback.com. So if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com and you sort of visit it regularly, and we will be coming out with a community newsletter today. But if you visit it regularly, you can find our events calendar. And so on our events calendar, this is the one that you want to know about. On our events calendar are all of our events. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about terahertz technology today. That's really for the class. So come to the class and we can talk all about it. This is really a class about the Genius, but we will talk in the class about how to use the terahertz with your Genius and how they can go together. So I really appreciate your questions today about the Genius specifically. Just a couple more things I want to just tell you about. When you switch your Genius to a new device, it's really important that you log out on the old device. So if you're thinking about going to a new device, the most important thing is that you log out on the old device by going to the top left of the page that you see when you initially click on your Genius, log out, and then you can log into your new device. If you're looking for the links to log in or download the Genius, if you're an Android user, you can find them in the Play Store. If you are an Apple user, you want to bookmark this page. you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, you go to learn, and we have the Genius reinstall links. So this is a good one to bookmark or keep handy somewhere if you need the new links, and or reinstall links at any time. Then the reinstall links are right here. Okay, now when we have a class, let's see if we can get that to go through. When we have a class like on today, you want to also get familiar with our blog. And so what we typically do is we post the information about the particular weekly training on our blog. And so here you can find our spinal energy guide. So just so people don't ask for it like over and over again in the class, we just want people to go to the blog to get this information. Okay, Veronica, I'd be more than happy to work on you today. So you're the one, and you're new to our community. So we really appreciate you, and we could definitely work on you today. That will be absolutely fine. We're going to answer questions. We're going to go over spinal energy. What is it all about? And it's a really, really important panel. We haven't really reviewed it in quite a few months. So we want to talk all about the spinal energy. It's so much more than meets the eye. So we're going to go over that and take your questions about anything. So I can see that you're loading up your questions. I absolutely love it. The questions that you find yourself thinking about each and every week, you're going through your week and you're thinking, gosh, I need to send this to Ariel, or I need to send it in. Then this is a good opportunity for you to ask your questions. So please go ahead and put your questions into the question area, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. So we're having a lot of questions come in right now. Those are great questions. We're going to go over spinal energy in just a moment. Let's see. We have another download on spinal energy. So let me just go ahead and let me get that for you. We did have, we are having still quite a few upgrades from the developer. He's still updating and making some changes. So that's, great. We can talk about any new features that you want to ask about. You're certainly welcome to ask those questions about any new features. We can go over some more things about the aura, the egg aura, if you want, if you're interested. And any other questions that you have, let's go ahead and maybe read some of the questions while I get this. Okay. All right. So we mostly just have chat. Are there questions? Okay, Leah says, why am I getting lovely aura eggs when I start a session, but the final one post-session is so murky? We've talked about this in different classes, but, the aura is just a measurement for where you are at any moment in time. And you go through peaks and valleys in your balancing. And so you might be in a real peak when you see those beautiful colors, but you might go back into a valley as you begin to peel the layers of the onion, get into the emotional muck of it all. So there's no guarantee that it's going to end perfectly looking great. That's not something that you necessarily have to have in order for it to be successful. It's going to tell you where you are, and it's supposed to show change. And so change to something that's murky or muddy doesn't mean a bad change. It means you're in the process of transformation. You're in the process of changing. Well, let's see what we've got here. Okay, so this is kind of an older version of this. This is interesting. Let's see. Yeah, this is, I don't know where we had this, but let me go ahead and send this out to you. This is a little different of an interpretation where we included the flower essences. I'll have to blast this out to everybody. I have to review it, but let's go ahead and we can share this one as well. But mostly I wanted to share it because I wanted to look at the spinal energy. And this is also in your success cards. The red and white one is in your success cards, as well as this visual. I mostly wanted to share the visual for the moment so that I could show you a good picture of the spine and why we're talking about it. All right, so For 2 weeks, they were brighter, and then all of a sudden this started. So Leah, you might not realize it, but you might just be going a lot deeper with your balancing choices. It isn't something for sure in the program that has changed. There's nothing about the program that has changed. There's nothing about the algorithm that has changed. So it is for sure something in the way, maybe it's longer sessions, you're getting to the point faster, you yourself are beginning to dive deeper. But it's the aura is meant to show a change from one part of the session to the next. It's not a guarantee that running it is always going to end on pretty colors, but you could try running just solfeggio tones after you see the murky colors and see if you see a change. So I'll show you how to do that, but try running just the solfeggio tones and then see if that changes things. Okay, let's bring on Veronica and find out how she's doing. So Veronica, I know it's a bit late where you are, so thank you for staying up and joining us.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. And it's not that late. It's 7 p.m.
Oh, it's 7 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have people join us from the UK. I think it's more like if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and they are saying, it's midnight here, it's so late here. And it's so funny. Oh, my view is not what it's supposed to be here. Very, very strange today. Okay, so let me see if I can figure this out. What is going on here?
This is perfect timing because I received my package with the cards and everything yesterday.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. I'm so glad. Wonderful.
Now, and I understand what you mean about having them on hand is very practical instead of going in and searching for it and then just having it when you're doing a scan and just having the papers there and you can look at it. It's very practical.
Oh, good, Veronica. Well, it's so nice I love your background, by the way, with the heart. That's so great. I'll just go ahead and grab this here. All right, yes. So tell us where you're joining us from, Veronica.
I'm from Norway. I'm living in the capital, Oslo.
In Oslo. Okay, that's so nice. Okay, I'm so happy that you have your genius and you're part of our community. Tell us, since you've been using it, what have you discovered?
What I discovered, one thing I found really interesting is actually before I got it myself, I did my first session with Dr. Chanel, and the spinal energy was very similar to what my chiropractor discovered at my session with him, on which point was really like showing more like the red parts. What I love about the Genius is that I'm noticing when I'm using it, actually committed and using it, I'm having a much better sleep. Because right now I'm very stressed and I'm struggling with insomnia. I can't fall asleep. I can be up until like 4 or 5 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, but when I'm actually using it in, like, especially if I use it in the evening before going in bed, I find myself falling asleep a lot better and I'm sleeping better.
That's one of the first things that people tell us is that their sleep continues to, is the first thing that they notice that improves. So that's really cool. That's wonderful. And I'm very happy to hear that.
And I just upgraded to the Elite Plus package.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And also what we want to find out a little bit is there any particular way that you run the frequencies? Is there any particular thing? Do you use the solfeggios? Do you utilize anything in particular that you go back to over and over again?
I combine the basic one. So I use the organ, digestion, body system, today's, and all of those. And I mix it with, because I've been working a lot on my emotional. So I look at the custom libraries with emotional. So it's past lives or any other thing that is about emotional, and also affirmations.
Very good. Oh, that's super duper.
And I'm been starting to do, like you said, by doing the solfeggios at the end. That's
and what is your experience of ending on the solfeggios? How does that work for you?
I feel more grounded and more like it kind of feel like it's like the finished touch of the scan. And it makes
I agree.
And also my mind, because I try to do my best to have the listening to the voice, not the voice, but the audio while it's doing the scan. And I know the frequencies with the voice, the sound as well, is really making me feel more grounded. It's like kind of like it's packing it in, like finish it.
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's very exciting. Is the work that you do, it's healer related, or do you do something else for work?
Currently, I'm a dog groomer, but I've been thinking about expanding it into using the Genius. But I have a health coach certificate, and I've been working on like understanding your cravings and how to do a health matrix, understanding where the root cause of any problems comes from.
Right. Yeah, that's good, because
So
you sounded like you kind of knew you had some type of a background, because you kind of understand, you grasp this so easily.
Yeah.
Well, you should use it during your dog grooming if you have an anxious dog or something, for sure.
I did that. That's one of the first things I tried with one of my dogs. He's a regular client. He's a little Maltese, and we don't really understand what it is, but I have suggested that he might need some acupuncture, something to release stress from because he's very he goes like this, but he's been biting me a lot, but less now that he knows me. But I used the Genius on him, and he went from having his eyes like this to going like this. That never happens. He's always on alert, but now he was actually like feeling more soothing in his eyes, and he was actually kind of trying to relax a little bit more.
Yeah, it's amazing. No, the Genius is amazing, and it's a combination. It also amplifies your own intention, and it sort of broadcasts a combination of the frequencies and your intention. And you can see it in a dog like that. You see it so quickly, but we see it in many of the clients that we're working with, and you got to experience it yourself. So that's really, really cool. Well, I want to send you some frequencies. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and record your voice in just a moment here. So why don't we start? I'll start recording your voice in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
Veronica Iselin Olsen Peterson, A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I-O-U.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's hard to see at the end how it's changed. And let's go ahead and we'll get your picture in just a moment here. Well, I'm so excited for you. You're using it to such great effect. I love it.
And I actually did the home clearing today because I finally got the downloaded the libraries, and I did it on my salon, the place I work.
Oh, you did like a home clearing on it?
Yeah.
And did you discover anything?
I feel a little bit lighter when I'm here, because there's a lot of, it's been like this since because I live here as well. And it's been like this for many years, where I feel very heavy of all the energies. Even though I'm saging, I've just felt a lot of heavy energy from all the different dogs I've had here, and me and my emotional state and whatever I'm carrying in here from outside as well. And I felt a little bit lighter as soon as I did it, because I followed the plan on how to do it, the clearing, using the chakra, the meridians, and the home clearing, and then finishing off with solfeggios.
Wonderful. That's exciting. Well, you're using it to such a wonderful degree. I love the idea of clearing the energy of the animals, because animals come in with all sorts of anxieties or concerns or whatever, nervousness and so forth. And that's so smart for you to clear the place the night after everybody's finished. And then you're going to come in and you're going to feel so much more different in your space, and it's going to bring in more abundance to your space.
Yeah.
And even
not to mention as well, the dogs don't only carry themselves, they also carry their owners. So whatever their owners are, so it'll be like an 8 ball, like you have like they are coming in, clearing, then they go back to the owners, and they have now left whatever baggage they had on and can help their owners better.
That's like the 8 ball. It's like you're putting the cue ball, and it's like pinging like not just the dog, but it's also like affecting the person. And so they don't even know that for the amount that they're paying for a grooming, they're getting a dog clearing, they're getting a person clearing. Like they're really getting a bargain when they come to see you.
Yeah, especially now since I'm still learning it, so it'll be like included.
Well, what's interesting about that is that that whole process could actually bring your business a lot of abundance, because when people come to see you, they're going to, on the subconscious level, start to recognize that, wow, my dog feels so cared for and loved here. And somehow when I come here, not only does my dog feel better from the grooming, but actually I feel better for some reason. And so on that very like sort of subconscious level, they'll probably start to come more often and bring and refer other people to you. So what a great thing to do.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, just a moment here, we're going to look at the genius. So I'm going to bring that up and I'm going to look at your aura and so forth. So I'm going to let you just relax and enjoy this. And we're going to come back and talk with you in just a little bit. Is there anything you want me to focus on?
Whatever comes up that needs attention.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much, Veronica. All right. Fantastic. So she can just sit back and relax and enjoy. We're using our reflector today, which you can find at airsquirrels.com, AIR-squirrels.com. We're not an affiliate or anything, but we do recommend that particular type of reflector. You can also try, especially if you use a PC device, an Android, you may want to try Mirroring 360. So Mirroring 360 is another type of mirroring software that you may want to utilize. And that allows me to put my genius as a broadcast, as an actual, I broadcast what is on the iPad itself onto my screen. And this software allows me to do that. So let's go ahead and get into all of this. Talk about the spinal energy and answer your questions. So spinal energy, the energy in the spine holds a lot of potential energy. And we're going to talk about there's physical reasons for this. There's metaphysical, spiritual reasons for this. Let's go ahead and go back to the beginning here. So we're in system overview after we record the voice and the picture. I'm still not sure if the new version is going to be integrated well with Zoom. So that has been why I've been recording the picture and voice off screen. And I'm going to have to retest it in Zoom and see if it is integrating. There was a problem with the Genius version integrating with Zoom in terms of the microphone and picture. So that's why I did that. But now we're able to do the analysis and look at her system overview. So let's go ahead and look at the aura, that beautiful egg aura function. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Keep your questions coming. We'll definitely come back around to your questions for sure. And we want to go ahead and see what we see in the new exciting aura function. It does take like just a little few seconds longer than the old one. So in today's world, it feels like we're waiting for a while, right? Okay. Well, my goodness, what a beautiful aura. See that? I think that's the little hidden gem about the new aura function. It is just like, waiting to open like a gift or something to see what the aura looks like. Because it's always so like kind of surprising these days with these vibrant colors. And it reminds me of like going from just a few crayon color choices to a whole box of, 128 crayons or something. There's so many vibrant colors that come through in this new aura function. So we're seeing this brilliant green, this very, very bright. Now, a lot of times these fluorescent, very bright colors, this is a person who's usually very spiritually open. This is a person who very likely has a good, strong, vital force. And so we've got this heart green fourth chakra energy right in the center. So she's very heart-centered. This is, you can actually hear in what she says, this is where she's coming from. It's very clear, right? When she thought about the animals, it's like, oh, not only the animals, but the owner. This is a boomerang effect. I want to make sure I sort of affect everybody in a positive way. And I want to clear my place so it can even be more welcoming and receive the new clients that are coming in. And then around this, this is really just so interesting to look at. Let me make sure. I think I already screenshotted it, but let's just go ahead and get the spotlight if it's possible here. Okay. Yeah. So, and look, so first of all, then we have this orange, right? So second chakra. So we're very active in that second chakra of creative energy. You can hear the creative energy that she's implementing in her genius session. And then we've got this beautiful purple, which I personally, this type of purple, in how I read the chakras and auras for this system is associated with the with the sixth chakra. So being the pineal gland, sleep, being very open. All of these rings look very good. And they're almost like pretty distinct even up here. So remember, we talked about the implication of sort of the fuzzy rings, and we're not even really seeing that here. But the one place we do see a little bit of maybe some stagnation is right in here. So somewhere around that second chakra. So that could be hormonal. It could even be digestive, although that tends to be more of the yellow third chakra. So we'll see what we see. And isn't it interesting that a lot of the colors that are in her aura were actually in her background? So she's sort of resonating and connecting with those particular colors that she chose for her background to her screen. So really fascinating. I absolutely love this new aura function. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and look at spinal energy so that we can just right off the bat answer some questions about it. So spinal energy is the energy contained at the level, really talking about the energy within the spinal nerve. And maybe we can get a good picture of the spinal segment and the spinal nerve in just a moment here. Let me sort of arrange for that. So your vertebra, as you know, are the bone structures, and they provide support, right, for you as a person, your structure. But what's really interesting is that it's not like the bones are just piled one on top of the other. They're actually very distinct openings. And these openings are called the spinal foramen. And through these openings, we have nerves which extend brain down to central part of the spinal cord, and then they branch out. And it's really interesting how much we're of nature and how much we mimic the processes of nature. It's really fascinating. Let's see, spinal segment with nerve. Let's see if we can get a good picture, a good visualization of that perhaps. And let me just see if we can sort of see a couple of these pictures. We'll get the whole thing here. All right. So what these nerves do is they come out of the spinal openings, which are sort of around here. And then they reach out and they innervate, which means they power up, or they give electrical flow or electrical power to every muscle, organ, and gland in the body. So it's really fascinating. Now, if you have some type of a misalignment, or if you have tight muscles, or you have some type of a back issue, then the nerves that come from here to go to your muscles, organs, and glands will be impinged or compressed in some way. And so with that compression, then you're not going to have the proper communication. You're not going to have the proper flow. So as an example, if one of the thoracic vertebra had some type of an impingement or misalignment, and that nerve went to your liver, then your liver would not be functioning at top notch. And so by clearing out the spinal energy, you're really making room or facilitating all of your organs and glands and muscles to work properly. Now, so if we look, let's just see the spine itself. So we've got the vision of the spine in the body. Now, if we look at the spine itself, a couple of pictures here. So this is also another visualization of the spine. And this is a good one because we can see this is the actual, right? This is what your structure is, right? How you have good posture, right? Your spine, right? So you've got your brain is the central part of figuring out how to sound messages and impulses and so forth. And then down the middle of the spinal, with the spine, we have the spinal cord, and then from the spinal cord we have these offshoots into branches, which are the spinal nerves. And that is really what is being looked at. Is this, it could be the vertebra itself, but the vertebra, unless it's cracked or crushed or something like that, it's really showing more the energy coming from the spinal nerve, and how much that is flowing, or how much really it's impinged or affected in some way. So therefore, the first thing that you can know is, let me get a chart here and figure out what kinds of things would C1 be connected to. And that's the purpose then of this particular chart, which we have, the other one that we have, which is the one with the success cards. And so that is, let's see, it's this one. No. Where do we put this other one? Okay. So it's actually this one. Let's get another download of this one. And we could just put it here. So this is the one that you would look at then from your success cards and then to say, oh, I wonder what this could possibly be connected to. And this can help you in understanding the person and what they're going through. And so the first way that we can look at the spinal energy panel is in an anatomical order. So C is for cervical. It relates to the vertebra at the level of the neck. And then you can look on here and you can say, well, right away we see that her C2, see how C1, the energy is flowing? Okay, C, it's green, that means it's balanced. But when we get to C2, it says the energy is impinged. Red or blue is going to be the energy is impinged in some way. So now C2, as a layperson yourself, you might be like, well, I have no idea what this thing is. C2, what is that? Now you know it's cervical segment number 2 related to the neck. And these are kind of jammed up in there pretty well. Like they're pretty small, right? It's going to be from the occiput itself, your skull. Then it's going to be, which is sometimes referred to as C0. It's going to be C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. And those are all the 7 cervical vertebrae. So that makes up your neck. And then you could look here. So C2, what is the nerve that comes out of C2? What is it connected to? So it's connected to, related to the eyes, the ears, the sinus. So it means it brings some type of flow to those areas. It brings electrical flow to the optic nerve, to the auditory nerve. So if it's not in balance, if it's compressed or some way, the energy is off or not flowing through it, then the person might have sinusitis, earaches, vision problems, hearing problems. And there's an emotional connection to it, resentment and blame. Now, these are not always 100%. These are just ideas, thoughts that could be related. Some of them came from Louise Hay, some from other places, but they're not 100%. So if somebody says, well, I don't have resentment, I'm not blaming anybody, then just let it go. Then that's not their thing. That's not their jam or their issue. So what we would then do is we want to take this, right? We want to balance it. And we could even, if we just wanted to work on C2, we could bring it up here and say, okay, maybe we want some libraries that are related to to the eyes. So maybe we want to bring in the eye anatomy or the hearing libraries, or maybe respiratory libraries or sinus libraries. So that's what we would be thinking about. Or if we just wanted to work on C2, we could also bring in things like the solfeggio. Remember, solfeggio number 285 helps to restore things to their natural state, helps to restore organs and glands to their natural state. I sometimes think the whole thing here should be in alphabetical order, because sometimes it's so hard to find the particular panel that you're looking for. Okay, so all that said, we could also put in 639, which would be about improving communication between the nerves. And then we could include 285, which it says expressing uniqueness. But if you look at 285 in the success cards, 285 is really to restore, whether it be an organ, a muscle, a gland, a part of the body, a nerve, to its original home frequency. And then we would also want to add in 528, which is for transformation and miracles. So we could just work on one particular spinal segment. You know, the spine also has a lot of spiritual energy to it. And the reason that yogis work so much on the spine is not that, like, they didn't, the original ancient yogis didn't do yoga as a way to, I want to stay slender, I want to stay fit, although those are all added benefits of doing it. See, even here, it's hard to find the spinal energy. Okay, so we found it. It was actually to strengthen the spine, which is important for everybody throughout their life to strengthen the spine. And they must have intuitively known that by working particularly on the spine, they would be affecting the entire nervous system, and also, as a result, helping all the muscles, organs, and glands. However, the reason that they really work on the spine is because of something called the Sushumna Nadi. which is a very important spiritual connection. As you may have heard of the Kundalini awakening, that there's a great spiritual energy that begins at the base of the spine. And when inspired, or the flow is allowed, or there's some type of a spiritual waking up for whatever reason, a guru, meditation practice, just the right time, that energy comes and moves from the base of the spine all the way to the crown chakra. And it's an incredible spiritual energy that can flow freely through the spine, really probably at any time. And when you're doing, you're more spiritually aware. And that unleashes a lot of vital force energy. And anything that you're doing really for the spine, especially yoga postures, coming back to the physical, is incredibly important. There is a lot of potential energy in your spine to be released, but because of how we conduct ourselves in Western society, not as a behavior, but just as a posture, because we sit in chairs, because we sit on the couch, because of different things that we do, we tend to always be in flexion, which is coming forward. So because of this flexion, we're actually constantly putting a compression energy on the spine, and in some ways really shutting down the immense potential flow of the spinal energy through the spine, and of course to all the muscles, organs, and glands. So anytime we can do yoga and those back bends, get ourselves into extension, extending the spine, is immensely helpful. It will help our posture, it will help our energy, it will help our mental, feeling, clarity, how we feel, but also unleash all of this energy. So if you feel tired, fatigued, it's like you're holding on to a lot of potential energetic flow through your body because of compression of the spine, because of chronic flexion or misalignment. So anything that you can do to stretch the spine, to strengthen the spine, and to move it more into that, to get it more mobile, or to move it into flexion, to strengthen it through these different postures you can do in yoga, is really helpful, and it'll help your entire body. And so that's really the secret, to the spine. But, in addition, you should always do some type of movement. In addition to that, besides just doing movement through the spine, you can also do some tonic, genius balancing. So you could include the spinal energy in every session that you do if you wanted to. You could also do a tonic session by, let's just go ahead and clear C2. What we're going to do is we're going to bring up all the spinal segments. So we're going to do that by going to the plus factor right here. And we're just going to go all reds, all yellows, all green, and all blue. And now we have all of those energies up there. And you see, we can combine them with the 528 energy, the 285 energy, and that 639 energy. And maybe we even want to bring up the sacred geometry energy of the toroidal field connecting to the heart. So we could bring up that frequency. And there's a lot of frequencies in each one of these. So all of these sacred geometrical pieces in sacred geometry, it's not just the frequency itself. There's probably like 30 frequencies that goes into making up even the toroid frequency. So the toroid is the energy of your heart. It would be the potential for free energy. It's an amazing energy field. So we can bring it in there and bring the power of the heart and so forth into it. So you could do this on a daily basis. You could do it once a week. And so this would be like a real nice tonifying on your entire spine. You could do it while you're doing yoga, and you could run it for 15 minutes or run it for a minute or whatever it is that you want to run it for, but just a nice way that you can work on the whole energy of the spine at one time. So that would be another suggestion that you could do. We're going to do this quickly because I know we're going to quickly run out of time, but I just wanted to showcase that. I want to go back to that spinal energy. And so you can quickly look in anatomical order of the different misalignments by quickly looking at the reds and the blues. So you see the thoracic 1, like sort of just jumps out at you. Okay, so thoracic 1, all the thoracic spine is going to start at the rib cage. And I think we had some other ways of looking at this, which we'll bring back in just a moment. We have this one as well. So you can see actually right behind this one. Yes. Okay, there we go. That's what we wanted to look at. Fantastic. All right. So as we look at this, like there, so there's the cervical vertebra. Now here's the thoracic. So here's T1. And then you can kind of see it within the body. Within the body, it starts at the top of your rib cage, which interestingly enough, the rib cage goes up really, really high. So if you ever think about where your rib cage, where the rib cage is, it's like all the way up here, is the top of the rib cage, because it stops at that clavicle. And so your ribs are like all the way down. And so your lungs are up into here too. And then all the way down to the lower part, which you can see here, sort of at the mid to lower back, right? Going all the way down to T12. So you've got these thoracic vertebra that are all around sort of the area of the rib cage. And so T1 is going to be right below that neck area, right? So T1, or thoracic one, as it says here, let's see what that is connected to. So if we go back to this view, this is all from the success cards. And those of you got the upgraded or higher package should have received these. If you didn't for some reason, you can let us know. You can also buy them separately by going to geniusbiofeedback.com and looking for success cards on the website. T1, related to the forearms, the hands, the fingers. You ever hear somebody say, gosh, my hands feel like they're tingling a little bit? So that might not be from their hands. It might be all the way up to their neck, to that thoracic vertebra. So my forearms, hands, wrists, fingers, even the esophagus is innervated by T1. So if they have reflux, this could be connected to it. If they have some type of a voice, or even if they have trouble swallowing, some type of issue like that, it could be related because the trachea is connected to T1. The symptoms related to thoracic 1, shortness of breath, asthma, arm and hand pain. So if they tell you they have asthma, you could work on T1, thoracic 1, as part of their balancing session. And then a related emotional issue, fear of truly living one's life. Sorry, I've reversed it. Fear of living one's truth, and then fear of just completely living. So again, that may or may not be true for that person. And again, you would want to take, not that one, but you want to take that particular item and place it into your balancing tray. So then we can see T4, T5, T6. Now that's interesting because they're all together. So that makes you think there might be something going on posturally, or maybe there was a past injury. For some reason, there might be tightness in that mid-thoracic area. Now, kind of interesting about, when we think about the, let's look at this for a moment, the thoracic, T4, T5, T6, and sort of like, so this is the cervicals, and then it's like T1, 2, 3, 4, like somewhere in here. Now, that is by the heart chakra. So then you could also think, what are the different thoracic? If you see something in a group like that, it might be surrounding the chakra. Now, her heart chakra was coming through nice and clear. But also you can have things in the back of the heart chakra, like sometimes there's cording, or there's a lot of subconscious stuff. There could be grief or unresolved things like that. And so it's interesting, T4, T5, T6, it's all around the heart chakra. It could also be posturally, maybe when she's grooming, maybe she's more bent over. And so that could be affecting that part of the body. So there's a lot of juicy things to sort of tease out and kind of think about with this. Now, another way that you can view the spinal energy is in the exact sort of red and blue configuration, which we're not looking at here. We're looking at the anatomical configuration, which is why you sometimes see blue and green and it's all mixed up. So we can actually tap right here. If we tap here, it will show us from high to low. And then we could flip it around again. We could go low to high. And so it's showing T11, T4, T12. So now we could very quickly, right, we could quickly gather those up, or we could just very quickly view, okay, what are all the highs and what are all the lows? I mean, we could do a whole class on the coccyx or the sacrum. There's a whole download on that. There's so many things that you can really heal in your body by paying attention to your spine, by doing all types of things for the hips, for the lower back, for the upper back, the middle back, whatever you can get into, whether it be Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, all the types of Hatha yoga, whether you like hot yoga, they're really going to be beneficial because they focus on the spine, and so much of your health and your energy flow sort of originates from that spinal health. And just the act of moving the spine on a regular basis is really important. Something that happens between the spine, which could be picked up in this particular panel as well, although we focus more on the nerves, is the disc between the spine. You know about a herniated disc. And the deal with that is that we have to keep moving the spine throughout our lifetime. And if we fail to really mobilize the entire spine and it stays stagnant, or there's like a lot of weight gain or a lot of pressure on it for some reason, then we can get these discs can dry out. And they just don't have the movement or the flexibility that they did. And so they could herniate and cause all types of problems sort of as they get into that dried out state, which just really comes from stagnation, from not using them. And so the body really, really requires sort of for an entire lifetime, whatever we can do to stay mobile. And we sort of, it's like a use it or lose it scenario. Like you've got to like keep it going so that you don't end up losing it. And in order not to lose it, you have to keep moving. And so it's sort of like a chicken or egg thing. Okay, so just wanted to see if I can make that small for a second. Just want to see if I could show quickly here. We can show spinal disc energy. Let's see if we can just get a picture of what that looks like here. And just wanted to getting spinal, let's see, herniated, maybe just herniated disc. We can just sort of see that. I hate to even think about it. You know, it's one of the most painful things that people can have is any type of a herniation to the disc, but it takes just sort of keeping the flow going. I guess this is one picture that we can utilize. Let's see if we can get that in there. So just looking at this. Oh, it's not letting us look at it in the enlarged version. Just taking us to a website. I love it. Okay, so you can see it kind of small. You can see the herniation here. You can see how the disc is healthy in here and how it's kind of moved here and it's compressing on the nerve. So when I've dealt with patients, the worst pain that people have ever come to me and described is actually when they've had some type of a herniation to the disc. So the moral of the story is you got to keep it hydrated and keep movement within it. All right, let's go back to our. Okay, so that's really what we're seeing here then is mostly thoracic. Actually, the whole thing, when you look at it as a preponderance, now that are looking at it from high to low, is you see more of the thoracic energy than anything else. Let's include a couple of other things in here. Let's maybe go to the general overview and see if we can get a look at the general overview and have some fun with that. We want to also get to your questions. So let's first see what comes up in the general overview. It tells us the neuron neprinol, which is interestingly enough is for any type of inflammation. It's like an anti-inflammatory. And let's see if we can get this. So this is the general overview, which we get from going to system overview. The reason I'm utilizing it today is so that I can get a look at some of what the high items are. No, don't be swayed by seeing all 777 because we're working on something like 60,000 items, and you are going to get, because you only have a scale from 0 to 777, you're going to get a lot of items that are 777. So don't be dissuaded or concerned that all these say 777. There is a full range. If we just went through all of this, there is a range from all the way 0 all the way up to 777. Okay, so now I just wanted to look at the top items here, and then we can get the top 50, which makes our job a lot easier. Healthy remodeling of the bone, dream catcher, essential oil, pulmonary artery, generate ozone, some gastrointestinal stuff coming up there. Environmental toxin exposure, creativity, which we talked about the second chakra. So let's just go ahead and grab these because I do want to answer some questions. So let's, oh, we didn't want to take all of those items. You know, do you see what happened? I took all those items and now I've got 3,000 items in there. We just want to add the top 50 and add the bottom 50. And then we'll go back to spinal energy because now I zeroed those out. And we'll just go ahead and we'll take all the red items and we'll take all the blue items. All right, so you have a lot of questions here. Let's see if we can look at some of them from the top, right? The people who chimed in early. All right. Please put those mirroring resources for here if that's possible. We'll see if we can put them into the community newsletter. And Karen has linked some of them. Okay. Deborah says, is there a problem with us broadcasting frequencies to a person when they may be incidentally generating them from their quanta at the same time? There's no problem. Okay. Just going through your questions here. All right. So try to just, instead of all of the maybe comments, I like you sharing your ideas. That's totally fine. It's totally fine. It just makes it a little harder to dig through some of your questions. So your chat is totally celebrated and really appreciate it. It's just a little bit hard to find. Actually, I don't find really a lot of questions in here. So I'm just going to skip to the end here. Is that one of your libraries, the Stop Smoking Success? Yes, we have that on the website. Fantastic. So let's go to the Q&A and see if there's anything in here. Cindy says, I put this into the chat. It's the first time. So Cindy, thank you. Cindy's on the trial. So welcome to our Genius community. We really appreciate you. If you have a name that is legal, but not what you generally use, specifically because of not wanting the connection to an ex-husband, for example, you never preferred your first name Cynthia, so you go to Cindy, does it impact the frequency of what you're saying? You're overthinking it, and you don't need to at all. You can just put in whatever name you're comfortable with, whatever name you resonate into. None of that will have a negative bearing or affect your scan in any way. Number two, my main questions, how do we use this to flow with physical treatments? Suppose one has iron overload and are chelating by donating blood, and your Genius scan shows iron as an issue. Okay, so first thing that's really important is that the Genius does not claim to heal or cure any particular physical condition. We're giving frequencies in order to reduce stress within the field. When you see a red or a blue item as indicated here, we're not saying, even though I'm giving examples of what could be affected, it just means there's disharmony or a stress disturbance. So for the frequency of cervical 2 to come in clear for that person, there's something interfering with that clear frequency coming in. Another way to explain the results on Genius Biofeedback is that reds and blues indicate the frequencies that are needed for the person today. And in fact, they don't really interpret anything further than that. So if you see iron, there's something in the frequency of iron that is needed today. If you want to interpret it further than that, that is for you to determine based on your knowledge level, your understanding, and you could also do some lab testing if you want to. So if iron was red or blue for this person, that means they need the iron frequency today. Let's look at the frequencies that are needed: manganese, sodium, and silica. There's something in these frequencies that is desired or craved or wanted by the consciousness of that person. But we cannot draw a conclusion that they're sodium deficient or sodium excess. That is not what biofeedback tells us. It's up to the person who looks at biofeedback to give them more information. So suppose one has iron overload, you scan every day, it stops showing iron as an issue. Would you continue doing as you are doing because what you're doing is helping, including playing your frequencies, or would you stop chelating until iron showed up again? I would never rely on the results of the Genius to make this type of a medical decision. Now, it probably is correct or accurate, and it may have actually changed something. When you're running iron on the Genius and you're running the Genius frequencies, it's working on mind, body, and spirit. It's working in a very holistic way. You still need to go back to your medical professional and get that lab work to tell you whether it should be chelating or not. Now, as long as it's red or blue, absolutely run the frequency. Could we sort this? Could we use this to monitor or short-term basis 4 to 6 months and then do blood work again? You have to continue to work with your medical professional to make that determination. Lynn Barker says, is the Song of the Spine still available? Have no idea. I don't know what that is. How to interpret the egg chakra. You go to the blog at geniusbiofeedback.com. Last week, we did a total analysis of the egg chakra aura, and we created a guide. So Catherine, that's available at geniusbiofeedback.com. Go to learn and then find the blog under learn. It appears that the general overview is a separate scan with different numbers in the system overview. Yeah, that shouldn't be the case. So that's something that needs to be reported to the developer. As far as I understand it, I'm going to talk to him today and I will check in on this. But yeah, these numbers, you're absolutely correct, Missy. They're supposed to match. So if they don't, then do me a favor, just go ahead and send me that information so I can discuss that with the developer if you're finding that they're different. These numbers are only supposed to be a stacked organizational repeat of what you see in the rest of the program, and all these numbers should be the same. So if they're not, that needs to be corrected. Nancy says, so all the red and blue from spinal general over are in the main tray with some solfeggio, then begin the analysis and play 15 minutes. I'm not sure. Let me try to read it again. So all the reds and the blues from spinal and general are in the main tray with some solfeggios. Then begin to play. Okay, I understand your question. So just a little bit hard to understand the way that you've worded it, but no big deal. So what Nancy is saying is I see that you have placed the spinal energy and the top 50 and the lower 50 from general overview and perhaps some solfeggios into the tray. Is that all that you would do? Is that sufficient? Yes, it's absolutely sufficient, but you could put in anything to the tray that you want to, that you consider to be relevant. And then she says, you go to Entangled Insights. Well, I really don't use Entangled Insights very much at all in my particular way of using the program, because I don't find Entangled Insights as helpful to me as using the libraries. The libraries are much better for me to kind of dive into the information that I want to know, whereas I don't find Entangled Insights to be as helpful. But some people love Entangled Insights, but you never need to use it for your program. Now, you might have been referring to Progressive Insights, I'm not sure, but I don't use Entangled Insights that much. Not function. Some people love it. Some people don't want to utilize it. So when we're balancing this, now we've just chosen to do the high items here. And for some reason, healthy remodeling of the bone came up. That's really interesting. I'm going to turn the sound down because I'm a little concerned about crashing the program here. So loss of reserves. So I wonder if you've experienced any type of fatigue. That's just a glitch between Zoom and the program. I'm going to correct that. Yeah, because this is loss of reserves, which would be, and it's got healthy remodeling of the bone. I wonder if you ever had a fracture or any issue. I'm not really sure why I would say that. I know you're so young. It would be weird for it to be any type of bone density issue. You're way too young for that to be of issue. Apricots in the immune system will help to strengthen the blood. This is apricots immune system rebuilders that also strengthen the blood. I think this is referring to apricot seeds, which are great because they contain that B17 lyetryl. Thieves, some gastrointestinal stuff, lymph terrain, animal fat, causing some digestive issues. C7, the frequency related to the thyroid gland. This is something that's different from the actual spinal panel. This is a separate panel. The liver, clear any effects. I don't know about this. I'm not too sure. We're gonna go a little bit over time. I just want to clear this out. And I want to go back and just do basic process number 1 in addition to our, so in addition to our spinal energy, I just want to showcase basic process number 1. So if you're new to our community, what we do is we go through the today's stress, and we can help you to find basic process number 1. It's on the website, it's on the blog, and we even have a screen recording to show that to you. And it says digestive and reproductive. Now, remember, I mentioned probably hormonal stuff. So I'm not too happy with that general overview. And I don't know if something's going on with the analysis. We'll find out. It's not a big deal. And then, so then I want to go to organs, and it's saying eyes and liver. Now, eyes and liver go hand in hand because the Chinese meridian, the liver meridian, is related to health of the eyes. And then we've got glands. And so it said hypothalamus, but it didn't say pineal, which is interesting. I'm going to include it anyway, because she did mention sleep. And then we have digestion. And this is basic process number 1. Actually, digestion here looks really good. And then we've got the flower essences. So flower essences are going to be in the mind right here. So we want to include those. And then what I always like to include, I think it's really for every person, it makes sense to include some affirmations. And so you could just type in affirmations. I like the breakthrough to success affirmations. So we would just use these. I like to include some affirmations in every session that I do, but it's just something that people can really understand and connect with. So let's actually redo this with these in mind. And the eyes, that's interesting. I see ways in my life to be free, and I 100% accept them as my destiny. Cervical number 2, sensitivities, I take full responsibility. Thoracic 6, integumentary, which is skin, lymphatic. I can hold the energy of joy and stay with it. Now is my time, and I accept it. Cherry plum, which is when you've sort of got a lot of pent-up energy, pent-up emotions that you're ready to release now. Mustard is dark cloud over the head, ready to release that. And water violet is sort of very much a healer's flower essence, because it's sort of more introverted, more gathering reserve, staying quiet, staying inward is like a more natural sort of, way for that person. So let's balance for a minute, go back and look at the final aura function, and then we'll talk about that. In the meantime, looks like there's maybe a couple more comments or questions here. We're just going to go a little bit over time, and then we'll kind of summarize everything. Remember to join us on the podcast by going to Genius Biofeedback, clicking on the events calendar. It's about to really heat up with our 528 podcast. We have really exciting things that we're talking about. We give a lot of handouts and resources in our frequency of 528 podcast. And I'm always joined by Karen McDonald, who you may want to schedule sessions with or talk with her. She's a very unique way of working. And so we've been talking about a lot of different things on the podcast, things we can't talk about on YouTube. Definitely come hang out with us. And then we're going to have some really amazing guests coming up in the month of January, including Sherry Edwards, who talks a lot about the power of the voice and what the voice means and what frequencies mean. All right. Okay, so the sound is sort of on and off here. So now let's go back to the aura function itself and see what we've got here and begin the analysis. And let's bring our wonderful client for the day here, Veronica. Let's bring her back on and see how this information has landed with you. Okay. Hi, Veronica. How you doing?
Hi. It's very interesting. And I just have to say that I have been working the last few years by being very honest with myself when it comes to emotional body, whatever my emotional body is speaking to me. So when I'm looking at the spinal energy and what it says about emotions, I'm just like, yep, yep, yep. Yep. On everything. I'm just like, yeah, I know. Yeah, everything resonates.
You can make a lot of progress when you have that fearlessly being honest with yourself. So good for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, wow. The colors.
I know. Let's look at the before and after. And I like the deepening color of the green heart chakra because it's more stability and more groundedness. So let's look at the difference between the beginning aura and the ending aura. So here's the beginning, looking absolutely beautiful. And isn't it funny that those colors were so matched to your background in the beginning aura, just like who you are, your personality. And then here's the ending aura. And so I'd say that there's a wonderful calming happening within the aura. Like I said, that heart is coming through really clear, much more grounded, but even that blue, that ring is extended, and the blue is throat chakra, speaking your truth. It's coming through, the authenticity of how you're expressing yourself, in your genius practice and with your clients and everything is coming through nice and strong. And the outer is really a lot of strength and vitality in the solar chakra, your empowerment, but also strengthening the digestive system as well. It's looking really good.
It's funny how the blue matches my sweater as well.
Amazing, amazing. Well, you're doing fantastic. Thank you so much for being part of our genius community. Thank you for volunteering. I can't wait to hear how things progress for you. So please keep us posted on how things are going.
I will. Thank you. And I love the fact that you're doing these kind of Monday Zoom going into the guides, explaining how to focus on each, like people were speaking about the dogs, but then like the spinal energy, how to combine it with other libraries to understand how to get most of it. It's really good.
Fantastic. That's what we're here for. So I'm glad it resonates for you. Excellent. Thank you so much.
It's like an every week, once a week school.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very nice. Wonderful to have Veronica on. And thank you so much for allowing us to work with you today. Very, very exciting. Okay. So yes. So really so many things to continue to talk about. We'll definitely continue that, sort of discussion. This is delaying again. There it goes. Okay. I will continue our discussion, really about the different panels of the genius. We're really here to take your questions, so, next week, as you come to class, really bring your A game, bring some really relevant questions, but relevant questions, even though I love all of you, some people will ask the most probing questions, some will go into the minute detail. Try to think of a question that is not only just really interesting to you, you really want to know, but also relates to other things that people would want to ask about. What is this within chemical sensitivities, or can you elaborate a little bit more on synergistics, or can you show me how to better utilize the quick zap tray? So try to come with very, very good, excellent questions, as you always do, but questions that will also really appeal to a greater audience. And I will always try to answer as many questions as I can. So please do join us to go to the events page, join us tomorrow and find out more about terahertz technology, or if you just got your core box or you just got your wand. And even if you have another type of wand, you can come hang out with us and learn all about how I view terahertz technology in terms of how I view it as a naturopathic doctor, what I see as it being important for, why you'd want to utilize it, and also how it blends and meshes with the genius. So that's tomorrow at 4:00 Pacific, 7:00 Eastern time. And I'll be joined by Benet. Many of you know Benet is one of our main trainers, and she'll talk about her experience with terahertz as well. We'll be teaching you how to utilize it if you just got it. That's on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we're going to be back with our podcast and joined by Karen McDonald for the news of the week. And we cover a lot of JAB, a lot of jab stuff, a lot of this stuff. So if you want to know, how do I deal with it? How do I work with it? What is it all about? What's happening? Come hang out where we do totally like sort of unplugged, uncensored discussions. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Be in touch, support at geniusbiofeedback.com if we can help you in any way. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye for now.